What's going on, people? Yes, I still do not have a webcam. Do not worry. That problem will be remedied by the time that we are on to the next stream by this time next week. Unfortunately, just poor timing, unfortunately, on my part, as my life is falling apart around my ears. But I'm back. I promised that I would be back with Dustin later this day. Dustin, 11 for 12, buddy. We finally did it. Our
Yeah,
first year where we're doing 12 for 12 for the whole year.
yeah, I mean that's good. That's what we set out to do, and that's what I would wanted to do ever since we started this is just to be more consistent each month, cover a different person. The one thing I want to say about this series, I try to pick people where I feel like, yeah, they probably do have some great performances left in them, but like mostly I just want to have like a definitive list, but we're never gonna have that because
I was about to say
we have Sam Rockwell coming out with like three awesome things next year. He's gonna be in the Brad Bird movie. I think he's playing the titular Ray
oh
Gunn.
shit, he is Ray Gunn.
I think so. And Leonardo DiCaprio, of course, has had one battle after another. I didn't see Begonia in time, so it's like whatever. So we're gonna have those imperfections, but I'm excited to do Josh Brolin
Yeah,
actually
Josh
because
Brolin, I'm excited for. And real quick, as
yeah,
regards to that list, it's an unfortunate kind of predicament that we found ourselves in upon taking on this task. And the unfortunate thing is that like the only time that you can officially come up with a definitive body for an actor is when they die.
is when
So
they're dead. Yeah,
yeah,
no, you're right.
it's
Yeah,
tragic to admit, but it's true because I mean the greats are the greats for a reason. It's because they literally work up until the day they die. I mean, look at how many legends that we lost just this past year. I mean Robert Redford, Gene Hackman, and a whole bunch of others. I mean, sure, Dustin Hoffman's still kicking, but like he's
ooh,
not going to be around for much longer. I would not be surprised if coincidentally, also after Patrick Stewart's final role in a Marvel movie before he retires, if he kicks the bucket,
how old is Patrick Stewart?
he's up there. He's like in 80. He's 80 something. He
He
is.
doesn't seem that old.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he's
He's
old,
finally starting to
obviously,
look
but
it.
like
He's
he's. I just don't think
85
of him
years
like that.
old.
But you're right. Yeah,
Yeah, he is 85 years old. Is how old Patrick
Ian
Stewart is.
McKellen seems older, but
Yeah, but Ian McKellen's always seemed older. And watch
he's
Ian
probably
McKellen. I
10
think is
years
like a
younger,
year or two
probably.
older or something like that. Yeah, Ian McKellen is literally a year older than Patrick Stewart.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so Josh Brolin, yeah, this is a guy who it's
Nepo
interesting
baby.
because he's not somebody who I would expect to have been like one of my like favorite and most consistent actors working today, especially
Mhm.
considering that around, roughly 10, 15 years ago, if you asked me who this guy was, you know who I would have said. I would have been like, wait, the dude who plays like young Tommy Lee Jones in Men in Black 3, that guy? Like, I didn't even know who he was. Like, I didn't even know about his family lineage, him being the son of James Brolin. I was too young
That
to
was
have seen
really
any of
your
his.
introduction to him?
Yes, I swear to God, that was
Oh,
my introduction to him.
that's
I'm
so
sure that I'd
sad.
seen him in stuff before that, but like
I was gonna
that was
say, you
my
never saw the
introduction to him.
Goonies? You never saw the Goonies
I
before
hadn't
that?
seen Goonies up until that point. My first time watching the Goonies was when I was at music camp, like around that same time. But like Men in Black 3 was first.
Jesus Christ. They used to show the Goonies on Cartoon Network.
Man, the good
That's
old
how I
days.
saw it.
Good old
I was
days.
like a kid when I saw whatever. Men in Black 3 being your introduction to him is insane. No, Josh Brolin, yeah, my introduction to him was probably the Goonies, but I didn't realize he was anybody to give a shit about until No Country for Old Men. I think that was the 2007 year we had that in American Gangster that really turned heads, being like, oh yeah, James Brolin had a kid and his kid is great. And he is, because No Country for Old Men, they're like one of the great breakthrough performances for any actor that decade because it totally just jump started his career.
Yeah,
And
it really
a
did.
year later, got an Oscar nomination for Gus Van Sant's Milk, and the races were off. And
Yeah.
like you said, like I don't know if he's one of my favorite working actors, but he's arguably one of the most consistent. Even if he's not like in the best movies all the time, like Jonah Hex, like it's still a really commendable career that he's had. But
Yeah.
is he the greatest person of all time? Who knows? We're talking
Eh.
about performances. I mean, he has allegedly beat the shit out of Diane Lane, one of my all timers. So I don't know. You have that little asterisk. If you're going to bring up everyone else's bad deeds, why not bring up that one? And he's especially, being Thanos, the Thanos of it all, and they get rid of Jonathan Majors, but they don't say or do anything about Josh Brolin with that
Well, we all know
story being
there's a little element that
a
may or may
little
not have
just
to do
wanna
with some
put that in
skin
the
color
people's
involved
mind.
there. Not to throw that one
Just wanna
out there.
out of our 3 viewers that are watching, I just wanna put that in Brett Badger's mind, you know? But, yeah, Josh Brolin, very good actor, arguably great. I just saw The Running Man, I wanna talk about that. Um, The Running Man was fine. I had a good time with it. The last 30, 40 minutes is really where it kind of jumps off of a cliff in terms of like tone. Because I feel like the movie had like a tone problem to begin with, but then it really just gets too heavy handed with its messaging. And while I thought most of the performances were effective, Josh Brolin, I felt like could have been somebody else. I feel like Josh Brolin was just, it was just sort of useless casting him for that kind of character, especially when he's not, like, supposed to be physical in any way. I mean, it could have been cooler if he was kinda dorkier, you know what I mean? That kind just the way they kinda wrote him, but I don't know. I thought he was fine in that. The worst movie he was ever in was Men in Black 3. Just a
Your favorite
disgusting
movie of all time.
how dare you, just disgusting, saccharine, insulting way to cap off a franchise. You know what I mean? Like just awful twists, awful humor that really talk about doesn't age well. Holy shit. But yeah, the worst Michael Stuhlbarg performance by bar none. Oh my god. And yeah, Josh Brolin's just doing an above average Tommy Lee Jones SNL impression. He's good in that movie, but he's like fine. I mean, he doesn't add any depth to the character other than oh, he's doing a good Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, you know what I mean? But my least favorite. Oh yeah, he also did Old Boy, which wasn't the best either. That fucking piece of shit remake
Yeah,
that Spike
he's got
Lee
some
did.
stinkers. He's got some stinkers under his head for sure. A couple things I want to address right there
Yeah,
first and foremost.
Labor Day too. Jason Reitman's
Oh
worst
yeah,
movie.
that other one that exists. Yeah, a couple things I want to address first, real quick. Number one, the Thanos of it all. The fact that the
Yeah,
rewatchables, somebody on the rewatchables when they were doing the American Gangster podcast pointed out that Josh Brolin of that whole cast at American Gangster may have had the best post career of all the cast members of that movie. And
post what?
looking back,
Post Endgame?
no, post American Gangster.
Oh, post American Gangster.
Yeah, post American Gangster may have had the best career, and I'm
Sure,
not inclined to disagree. I
sure.
kind of see where they're coming from. The other thing, too, also is what's so interesting, you're right, is that even though No Country for Old Men does give Josh Brolin's career the jumpstart, it really is kind of off and on throughout the next couple of years because he gets the Oscar nomination for Revolutionary Road, but then he has
Milk
Jonah
and
Hex
Milk.
and True Grit in the same year. Then he has,
Michael Shannon was Revolutionary Road.
yeah, then, sorry, not Revolutionary Road, Milk. That's what I meant, Milk. So he has Milk. Then he has True Grit and Jonah Hex in the same year. Then the Men in Black 3 of it all. Then Labor Day. But then Sicario is where like things start to get a little noticed. But then also, what's funny is the Thanos of it all that you mentioned. He makes his debut in Guardians of the Galaxy. But what's so interesting about it, about that Thanos performance, is the fact that I would argue that to me is really where his career took off. So you really want to talk about like a late stage like career takeoff because it's after Thanos. That's what leads to Dune. That's what
Mhm.
leads that he does Deadpool around the same time. He then does Running Man. He does the Sicario sequel also weirdly enough. I just saw him in Wake Up Dead Man. He was in Weapons recently, Legacy of a White-tailed Deer Hunter. So all of to me like his best work
Mhm.
is what follows up with I am going to say this right now, and I'll cover this more when I get to it when we cover Thanos inevitably on both of our lists. The greatest motion capture performance since Andy Serkis is as Gollum. I'll put it out there right now. I know that Andy Serkis was doing a couple of other mocap performances around this time as well. Benedict Cumberbatch as well as Smaug, but I've said this before. Part of the reason why I love the Infinity Saga capper so much is because of what Josh Brolin brings to that role and how he so elevates what otherwise is just a standard motion capture performance. It takes like what a lot of people were writing off as going to be like another generic one-off Marvel villain and really adds a lot of charisma, a lot of charm, a lot of menace, really, to what again a stock CG character that just wants to and like even adds a lot of nuance to an otherwise generic supervillain plan. So I think all of those things he has going for him. And what I also like about him too is how, despite somebody who comes off as like a really, really, gruff and rather what's the word I'm looking for? Rather hard exterior. He is also able to get across a lot of vulnerability too, which I quite admire as well. It's something that's really, I feel like, not characteristic, and it's a trait that I feel like is missing from a lot of current movie stars. And what you mentioned about the Running Man role as well, what I like so much about that is the fact that, yeah, that could have been literally anybody. And in fact, they probably could have gotten somebody like more nerdy. Like, if anything, I almost think that, weirdly enough, if William H. Macy and him had switched parts in this movie, that kind of would have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
But
nice juicier role for
yeah.
William H. Macy.
Yeah, exactly. As for the Running Man of it all, I mean, my whole thing with that movie is I really enjoyed it. I think that it's the Edgar Wright. People just want to shit on Edgar Wright movies now because they still miss the Cornetto trilogy phase, and those days are just gone. Unfortunately, those days are come and gone and are never coming back. And so, with that being said, it's kind of interesting how, by virtue of having all the qualities of a leading man, having a late stage career, and also like just appearing in some of the biggest pop culture IPs of the last 10 years, I would say he's become not like he's become like, I would say, a cultural mainstay in a way that few actors wish they could get. And while also continuing to show that he is an incredible actor, just in not ways that anyone would have expected.
I agree. Yeah. I don't really have too many honorable mentions other than Sicario and the Goonies and his little role in American Gangster. He's had a really solid career. Hail Caesar, he was one of the better parts about that. But yeah, my number 10 is W, which is a big whole piece of shit. But I preferred this impression to the Tommy Lee Jones impression in Men in Black 3 because it is a more accurate representation of who George W. Bush was. But I just wish that the movie was more like the performance, because everything else around him is just a complete joke, and it's kind of insulting. Some of the casting is solid. Like, I think Richard Dreyfuss made for a good Dick Cheney, and Jeffrey Wright did a good Colin Powell. But other than that, yeah, it's really forgettable, and Oliver Stone is just completely insane when he's given free rein to cover a president's life, especially when he hates that much as George W. Bush.
Yeah, he did it a couple times too. He did it with that one. He did it with Nixon, with Anthony Hopkins. It's pretty insane. I want to watch W just like as an interesting comparison piece to Vice. You know. But that's
Vice,
really like the only
why Vice and Nixon work is that at least they're like human in those movies, believe it or not. Like, they're actually given like a 3-dimensional arc, I would say, as opposed to W. I just feel like Josh Brolin's the only one who's really trying to make him human, and Oliver Stone is trying to edit like a insanely cynical movie around him.
Yeah, got it. All right, my number 10. American Gangster. It's funny because very small part, but very, very pivotal part, I would say, because this is another instance where this could just be like another like generic corrupt cop role ultimately. But Ridley Scott, it's weird, like kind of the reception that this movie has gotten in the years. And this is a movie that really ultimately should have been a bigger deal when it came out, but ultimately, due to the fact that it came out in the year 2007, it was going up against some of the all-time great movies. It's weird to me in hindsight that this got negative reviews when it came out, especially given like the caliber of the cast that they assembled outside of Denzel and Russell Crowe, and the fact that this is weirdly their second time collaborating, because they've done that weird that weird movie back in the 90s, Virtuosity, I think it was called. The only thing I know about that movie is the clip that I see of Russell Crowe doing like the weird like DJ set in it. But this is kind of their reunion, and the cast that he assembles outside of those two is just wild. When you have like the likes of Chiwetel Ejiofor, John Hawkes, Common, Idris Elba, T.I.,
John Ortiz.
Yeah, John Ortiz, like in a great scene. So the fact that Josh Brolin manages to stand out amongst this ensemble as just like the latest in the sign of generic cop, because he really takes the idea of like generic shitty, like obviously corrupt cop to the next level, and really like is able to have some fun with Denzel. Like the scenes between him and Denzel in this movie, and also with Russell Crowe, are legitimately great. And also kind of an early indicator that Frank Lucas and Richie Roberts are going to end up teaming up, because it's funny because the one thing that they both have in common throughout the course of the movie that's established is they both hate corrupt cops for vastly different reasons. So it kind of gives him like a unified case against Josh Brolin, but it really shows like early on, and in the same year that he had No Country for Old Men as well, it shows that Josh Brolin was going to be like a talent to keep his eye on, even as late as like I think he was already like in his 40s by this point. So yeah, American Gangster has to be on my list.
Mm-hmm. All right, my number 9 is Milk. Gus Van Sant's Milk, the aforementioned Milk. I love Milk, not the movie, but Milk in general. I don't care. I'm very pro Milk. Yeah, I really like the movie Milk, though. I do. Sean Penn, excellent in it. Josh Brolin, very understated in this movie, very, as the guy that eventually killed the titular Harvey Milk. But yeah, haunting performance when he's in the movie. I mean, I do think he kind of gets overshadowed by James Franco and Emile Hirsch at points, but in terms of supporting players, but he fits into this ensemble very well. He's definitely the dark horse of that supporting actor race, I would say, of that year. Even Michael Shannon, I feel like, is more worthy of that nomination for Revolutionary Road, also aforementioned. But yeah, very, very gripping performance when he's on screen. I would have liked a little bit more screen time and a little bit more depth to his character, but like you said, he definitely shows vulnerability and uh, darkness with this character for sure. And there's very slight empathy with this character, but I would have liked a little bit more screen time, like I said. But
So Milk is also my number 9. So that
Ooh.
that helped that as well. And I'm not gonna lie. I was going back and forth between this and Men in Black 3. Yes, I do like Men in Black 3 significantly more than you. Yes, I do think he is that good. But
Most
I
people.
did decide to go with this one because you're right. What was the most fascinating thing to me, and I'll touch on a little bit of the things we talked about when we covered this on our Sean Penn Hall of Fame, is how, so I knew that famously Sean Penn won the Oscar for this movie and that Josh Brolin was nominated. This is still to date his only Oscar nomination, which is wild.
Weird.
But given the scope of his career and the types of roles that he's done, it makes a little bit more sense now with the benefit of hindsight. And what's crazy, you're right, is the fact that, so I'm going into this movie and I know that Josh Brolin is in it, and I know that Josh Brolin has the supporting actor Oscar nomination, but I'm waiting and I'm like, okay, like Emile Hirsch is awesome. James Franco is awesome. All the smaller bit players that are showing up along the way. Boyd Holbrook has a micro cameo as one of the dudes. He gets a blowjob from Emile Hirsch at one point. I'm like,
That's
okay,
right.
this is really cool, but like, when is Josh Brolin going to show up? And then we're looking at an hour into the movie after he wins like the first elected seat, and then Josh Brolin shows up, and then that's when the movie takes a turn. And I'm like, oh, now I get why. Like, he's like almost like the third act reveal of this movie in the sense of somebody who, to me, could not be more obviously closeted gay. I know at the time it was probably came off as a lot more ambiguous, but given the context of everything that's happened.
No, I remember people were talking about that in reviews, being like,
really?
he's clearly
even
gay.
obvious back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, you don't know if this is the movie's portrayal, because obviously, again, it's widely assumed from the real Harvey Milk's accounts that character, I can't remember his name, that character was very closeted homosexual, but everything that he does,
something, right?
Yeah, something. But everything that guy does in that movie, I'm going to look this up because this is going to
Dan White.
Dan White, right? So everything that Dan White does in that movie indicates to that point, you know, and just based off of his the way he plays it, it really, really shows the idea of somebody
you know what's white, right? Milk.
Stop it. I'm not going there. Not going there. Let me finish my tangent. All right. So the fact of the matter is that he very much is exhibiting behavior of somebody who is so latently like hateful of himself, the fact that he very clearly is closeted. But what's so interesting is the fact that it's that exact denial that literally leads him to, well, that and, you know, obviously open humiliation by Harvey Milk in the court when he's the only person to, you know, vote against LGBTQ, pro LGBTQ policies in an area that is becoming more and more so progressively LGBTQ.
The gayest place of all time.
Literally. Now, the craziest thing about watching that movie was the beginning when they first moved there and seeing like community leaders come up being like, we don't welcome your kind here. I'm like, what is this? The fucking South? Like, what is going on here? This is not the San Francisco that I've been led to believe. But yeah, it leads to one of the most haunting final acts of any movie that I've ever seen, when he infiltrates the fucking courthouse through the window so that he can avoid so they can void the metal detector, so sneak a gun in before he kills the mayor, played by Victor Garber, and then executes
That's
Harvey Milk
right.
execution style. Shoots him through the hand. He turns around and is on his knees and puts and kills him with a gunshot to the back of the head. Like, Jesus Christ, talk about haunting. And Brolin is just like, man, it's kind of funny that this is the same guy who played Thanos, who played his character in True Grit is terrifying, and this might be the scariest character that he's ever played in anything. So yeah, number 9, Milk. Also, I just wanted to run off some honorable mentions of mine as well that I didn't get a chance to run through. I have Deadpool 2. I have Everest, which is a movie that nobody saw, but I quite enjoy.
No, me neither, no.
I have Legacy of a White-tailed Deer Hunter, his small but memorable part in Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror, Weapons, and recently, which I saw at Toronto International Film Festival, Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out Mystery, as well as Men in Black 3.
Alrighty. My number 8 is True Grit, like you said. His small but pivotal role in this, frightening, comically dumb, just hilarious. But True Grit, really good movie, really good performance, really effective. Everyone's awesome in that movie, pretty much. It's overdue for a rewatch for me, but I remember this is a movie that kind of blew me away when I saw it in theaters. And the build up to him, he's the third act reveal. Like, you're just waiting for this fucking guy the entire movie, and for her to finally get her revenge. And it doesn't quite go in the way that you expect in true Coen Brothers fashion, but Brolin, absolutely frightening in this, like you said. True Grit.
Yeah, I'll get to this when I get to this, because oh man, I
Mm.
got some things to say about his performance in this. My number 8, arguably the beginning of his career. It's I don't know, because Brolin's one of those guys that has like a couple breakout. But number 8, I mean, you can't have any Brolin list that talk about the Goonies. I mean, this is
Yeah.
an iconic, seminal part.
Fair.
What's so wild is the fact that when I first saw this movie, I was so focused on the young talent and the fact that the lead is Sean Astin, who obviously I had this relationship with, the Sam from the Hobbit movies, then Corey Feldman, who was known for every single 80s, Corey Feldman and Ke Huy Quan, who were both known for being like, had these iconic 80s kid performances. Corey Feldman with the Lost Boys and Ke Huy Quan with Temple of Doom. And all these different people who I like, even the two robbers who I recognize, Robert Davi and Joe Pantoliano, that I don't even put 2 and 2 together the first time, that his older brother, I'm trying to think, Bran is his name? It's been so long since I've seen this movie. That's Josh Brolin. Yeah, it's Bran. That's Josh Brolin. And it was only after the fact, like, putting it together, I think it actually, funnily enough, as much as you may make fun of me, it did help that I saw this movie around the same time that I saw Men in Black 3, because when I saw them, I'm like, wait, that's Josh Brolin? But I mean, it shows that like the talent was there from an early age. The fact that he's playing like the shitheel older brother who is like constantly, being annoyed and by his younger brother, but eventually, ends up joining them on their stupid, silly little quest to recover this pirate's treasure, and ends up like becoming like a seminal part of the group, part of the Goonies. He ends up saving them and getting them out of a couple of situations. Yeah, I mean, Josh Brolin's fucking awesome in this. And the fact that like he's still to this day is like so nostalgic and precious about that part, and is like just as enthusiastic about it as like actual Goonies fans. It's so cool when somebody can look back and recognize like that they were part of something like that iconic and that meaningful to that many people. And yeah, it's the beginning of his career. The Goonies has to be on this list.
No, I appreciate that. No, really good movie. 7, Legacy of a White-tailed Deer Hunter.
All right.
Jody Hill, his third feature. Really sweet movie. Not a great film, but very solid and entertaining for what it is. And Josh Brolin gives a warm and very funny performance in this, opposite Danny McBride and the the kid. What's his name? Montana Jordan.
Oh my
very
God,
good.
that's Montana Jordan.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's Sheldon's brother from Young Sheldon, young Georgie Cooper. That is him.
That's the kid.
That's who it is. Oh my God.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Well, he's set for life, I guess, that kid.
Yeah, right.
I would have wished he went on to better things than fucking Young Sheldon in the spinoff. But yeah, Legacy of a White-tailed Deer Hunter is kind of an underrated little Netflix Sundance acquisition. But yeah, very, very solid, very underrated filmmaker Jody Hill. I can't wait for Jody Hill's next film with Zac Efron, which is based off this dark
Yeah, when is that coming
novel.
out? Like, that was
Probably next year. That's A24. That and Huntington are probably next year. They've been done.
Don't know why they didn't come out this year, but all right. I
Right.
guess A24 was waiting to see.
A24 has had like a large. They've had like a pretty large slate this year for them. So I kind of get why they have waited on a few titles. Um, Not Wizards. Wizards is like
Wizards is
insane.
never coming out.
Uh,
At this point, I'm sorry, Wizards is never happening. And they were like, I'm
it'll be
sorry, there were
released.
about 7 titles that came out in the beginning of this year that I happily would have cut for half the titles that they should have put out, like Huntington or the drama or Famous. But no, we had to get Opus and we had to get The Legend of Ochi and we had to get fucking
Well, those were also waiting. They were on the back burner for them.
they should have just axed those because
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
Less than
Legacy of a White-tailed Deer Hunter was my number
all right, and
7.
my number 7 is Gurney Halleck in Dune. And
Okay.
again, another part that could have been. It's weird because within the context of Dune, even the book series that this is based on, Gurney Halleck is not exactly an important character. And what's interesting is that like he's one of the few characters of the original Atreides group that arrives on Arrakis who survives to the second part, kind of by dumb luck. Because you obviously have, the two big iconic deaths in the first part, the death of Duke Leto Atreides, Oscar Isaac's character, his father, and then the death of Duncan Idaho, Jason Momoa's character sacrificing himself to get Paul and Jessica can escape into the desert. So Gurney Halleck is kind of a character who, by happenstance, I mean, he's a guy who, again, is a very old member of the Atreides House Guard. He is one of Paul's personal trainers growing up. He is one of many father-like figures in Paul's life. And the thing about Gurney is he's a little bit more battle-hardened and a little bit more chiseled, I guess you could say, as opposed to somebody like a Duncan Idaho, who's a little bit more adventurous in the sense of where he's the one that's like really trying to warn Paul in that first part about the danger that they're in going to Arrakis, being like, you have no idea what kind of danger. The Emperor has basically set us up for failure. He's like, the Harkonnens ran that place like a fucking sweatshop for 80 years, and nobody complained because of the spice output that they put out. And now all of a sudden the Emperor has just decided out of the goodness of his heart to put us in charge. Like, nah, something is going to go down and you need to be ready for this. And it really sucks that we don't. Again, there's a reason why he's one of the few characters you don't see what happens to him, because when he pops up again in part 2, you see him. He has gone through the ringer. This guy, he is bedraggled. He is miserable. He has like been reduced from like this once mighty position to now like a measly bounty hunter. And what's interesting is that when he reunites with Paul in part 2, he's one of the dudes that's trying to urge Paul to go down the path that he doesn't want to. Because what's so interesting about Paul's arc in part 2 is that because of his premonitions that he's been having as a result of, drinking the water of life at the site, he does not want to go south and rally the Fremen together, because he's been having these visions that once he does, he will basically unleash a jihad that will basically consume the entire galaxy in this nonstop war. And I know I'm talking a lot more about the lore of Dune than the actual character of Gurney Halleck, but it just goes to show that, like, at this point, coming almost basically right off of Thanos, because the first Dune movie was originally supposed to come out in 2020, only a year after Avengers Endgame. It really shows that like Josh Brolin was set for life. The fact that, again, this is a movie that was cast off the back of primarily megastars. He's working with the likes of, again, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, Javier Bardem, Timothy Chalamet, Stephen McKinley Henderson. He even gets like a one-off like back at Dave Bautista for when he kills him at the end of part 2. And he's awesome. He's another part of what makes this spectacular, wild, insane, very, very epic cinematic portrayal that Denny has done with Frank Herbert's original vision. And I love that Brolin's a part of that. So I could not put it on this list.
Fair. My number 7, Deadpool 6. Deadpool 2. Gotta do Cable, man. He's really fucking funny in this. Talk about like kind of like a Goonies sort of role for him, where he's just reacting to these childish fucking it's like stupid like one-liners from Ryan Reynolds, who just always knows how to make this character work for me. And yeah, Deadpool 2 is my favorite of all the Deadpool movies by far, and I think Josh Brolin really is like a big reason why it works. And he definitely adds a lot of the heart and angst to this movie, and a lot of vulnerability, like you said. Like, he really knows how to like be underrated with that vulnerable acting of his. And Deadpool 2 is a prime example of that. Great action, great showcase for Josh Brolin being a badass. It's just nice seeing him kind of be like an anti-hero as opposed to being like a straight up evil villain like Thanos. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that. My number 6 is a movie that I famously did not like when I first saw it, but in hindsight, I'm still not the biggest fan of this movie, but I very, very much appreciate Brolin's performance. That is Hail Caesar, the 2016 Coen Brothers movie, their first movie that they had done since Inside Llewyn Davis. And to me, this is where, after a very, very long and very for the most part, successful, only a few hitches in an almost in an almost coming up on 30-year career for the Coens at that point. Actually, no, past 30-year career for the Coens at that point. How they make a movie that is supposed to be. I guess the thing about Hail Caesar that still confuses me to this day is I don't know if this is supposed to be a takedown or a loving homage of Hollywood's golden period. But whatever the case is, Josh Brolin is both simultaneously hilarious and also awesome as like basically this Hollywood fixer that's going around basically ensuring that all of these like insane sets and productions end up going through. And of course, it's just it's a classic story of what happens with a fixer. It's just one problem after another. George Clooney is the lead of this one Roman epic and gets abducted by communists, whom Channing Tatum is a part of. He's trying to get Scarlett Johansson to commit to this one mermaid picture, despite the fact that she's pregnant and trying to get out of her contract. He's constantly in the middle of all these different things, and it ends with probably one of the most insanely straight to the point third act speeches where he's basically like Clooney comes back and he's like, yeah, so these communists, they had like a good idea. And he basically like smacks him around and essentially tells him is like, look, you are going to commit to this because you are fucking locked into this contract and because you are going to do it for the greater weight of cinema because these movies that you are in are going to far outlast you and whatever silly ideas that you have. Kind of what I wish that like a lot of like, I wish there was like this character in like today's modern day, time period or at least during COVID, who have smacked around all those actors and been like, you guys are actors. You guys are not fucking politicians. You don't know jack shit about politics. Show up, do your job, say thank you, go home, shut the fuck up otherwise. It's great. Like, so I feel like for that reason alone, this character really stands out in an otherwise very kind of confusing and totally all over the place movie, albeit very well made and very good looking. But yeah, Josh Brolin in Hail Caesar is definitely a really, really good performance on his part.
All right, my number 5 is Only the Brave. Joseph Kosinski's my favorite film of his. It's the firefighter movie. Uh, yeah, what an excellent ensemble. Besides Josh Brolin, we have Miles Teller, Jeff Bridges, Jennifer Connelly, James Badge Dale, Taylor Kitsch, Alex Russell, Jeff Stoltz, Ben Hardy, Scott Hayes, and it's just an exceptional cast and really good effects. I found this more effective than Paul Greengrass's The Lost Bus in terms of like fire movies. Every character is cool, but Josh Brolin playing like the mentor character who tries to give Miles Teller a redemption and gives him a job in this really insane job. Uh, but he sees his grit and determination, and yeah,
He sees his true grit, if you will.
yeah, it's true grit. Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, it's a insanely powerful story because it's true. And spoiler alert, all of them die except Miles Teller, and you definitely feel all of the grief that Miles Teller's going through in the last act of that movie. But Josh Brolin, you wouldn't feel it that way if you didn't care as much for the characters, including Josh Brolin, who's
this is the same wildfire that Paul Greengrass was doing in Lost Bus?
No, but it's like a similar type of movie.
Okay, got it.
No, I wasn't. I was just saying it's like it's in the same vein. I don't think it's covering the same events.
Got it.
I don't believe so.
Cool. All right, so my number 5. Oh man, I'm going back and forth here. All right, I'm gonna do a little last minute switch. My number 5 is Sicario. His first collaboration with Denis Villeneuve. His again, kind of I would say like the next phase of his career after like the early 2010s where he had some stumbles and misses. Your Men in Black 3s, your Jonah Hexes, whatnot. But this showed that like okay, like Josh Brolin still knows how to deliver when it comes to just one of the most insanely tense, gritty crime thrillers. It's still insane to me looking back, given our relationship with Taylor Sheridan now, that Taylor Sheridan wrote this script, and also that this is a first draft script. Like that's wild to me. And this is still one of the best crime thrillers that came out that year. One of the best crime thrillers of the 20th century. Examine like I guess kind of the violence and action surrounding Mexican cartels in a way that no movie had done previously and no movie has done since. I mean, you had movies that were touching on like the violent aspects of the cartel from like more of a psychological standpoint earlier in the decade with movies like Savages and The Counselor. But this is the movie where it's like, no, it just shows it like just a straight up, like nonstop tense, really really just pulse pounding action thriller. And even though obviously Benicio gets the majority of the spotlight, and rightfully so, because he's fucking incredible, Brolin's role is kind of underestimated because he is just as crucial and integral to this as Del Toro is, because he's the one that basically reveals to Emily Blunt something that obviously has become pretty obvious now, but at the time I guess was kind of still like unknown, in the sense of where it's like, oh, we need to work with these guys. That's the only way that we're gonna have any sort of a dent on the cartel. At the end of the day, like, nothing we do is going to stop or solve the cartel issues, because they are completely fueled by money and greed, and that will always kind of triumph over any sort of like good habit. So what we can do is we can take these guys who have been wronged by these cartels, like Benicio del Toro's character, and we can use them as human weapons against them. And the shit that we're gonna do is not that nice and clean. But listen, it's gonna get shit done, and it may or may not save lives, but it's probably just gonna funnel us more money and give us a piece of the action. And the way that he says that to Emily Blunt, just so coldly and so matter of fact, I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm like, Josh Brolin, I'm like, I've been hit or miss on you before, but when I saw that, I'm like, oh, I'm in. I'm ride or die. Whatever you are gonna be in from here on out, I'm gonna watch. And then I saw No Country like around this time too, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sold.
Dominic, did you ever see Sicario 2, Day of
I
the
did not,
Soldado?
because it did not have any of the original creatives behind it, and that trailer looked like ridiculously insane, but not in a good way. And I had
Right.
zero desire to watch it. And from what everybody told me, I made the right decision avoiding it.
Yeah, I never saw it either. Number 4, good pick. Number 4, Weapons.
All right.
I gotta do Weapons because he I'm thankful it wasn't Pedro Pascal
Yeah,
in
I
this
mean,
role.
it was tough for me not putting this in there, but I just had too many other like things that I liked him in more. But he is very, very good in this.
Yeah, he's excellent in this. Like, I also would have liked a little bit more screen time with really everybody in this. I wouldn't have minded a 2.5 hour version of this movie, to be honest with you. But yeah, him as like the grieving bully dad is just kind of perfect casting, and he doesn't overdo it. He shows like a different level of like, oh, I didn't know Josh Brolin could be convincingly scared in a movie. Like, that's something different because we're used to being scared of him. At least I am, at least a little frightened. And Diane Lane too. Call back. No, I'm kidding. But
Oh
no,
man.
Weapons is terrific. It's one of my very favorite movies of this year, and yeah, just a breath of fresh air. And Josh Brolin was one of the reasons for it, and just the camaraderie that he has with Julia Garner later on in the movie is just very interesting, and just a really interesting dynamic. And I just thought he gave a very interesting, good performance in this movie. Really good performance in this. And I'm just glad that he replaced Pedro Pascal, who would have
Yeah.
just been very awkward in this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're really in hindsight, like a major, all like again, one of the few instances where the SAG strikes really did save this movie. Because I'm
Mhm.
sorry, like other than Brian Tyree Henry, I think would have been probably a little bit of a better cast than Benedict Wong. Like,
No.
just imagine Pedro Pascal, Renata Rensby, and Tom Burke instead of who we got. I'm like, what? Like, that just is why it almost took what is one of the best movies of the year and may have possibly turned it into one of the worst. But my number four is True Grit. I mean, this is a movie that, again, I need to rewatch. It is very, very overdue for a rewatch. I ended up knocking it out of my top 10 of 2010, but that may end up changing. And man, I mean, like you were saying, everybody in this movie is just absolutely spectacular. Probably one of the best modern day westerns that we've gotten. Jeff Bridges, I think, a vast improvement over John Wayne in the original as Rooster Cogburn, and kind of in a way like the beginning of like the fact that, oh, Jeff Bridges is going to play like a different variation of this character for like every character that he does for the rest of his career. And Matt Damon is really good. Haley Steinfeld to me is the absolute breakthrough standout for obvious reasons, and it showed for the rest of her career. She got a very well-deserved Oscar nomination for this, although why she was in supporting, I have no fucking idea. One of many instances of blatant category fraud that the Oscars just love to do. But man, she's talking the whole movie about this Tom Cheney who killed her father, that she is enlisted and contracted Rooster Cogburn out to track down and find. And they're getting to the end of the movie, and you still haven't found this guy. And then he shows up, and you're like, wait, this dude? Like, this is the dude that she's been after the whole time? And you're almost taken aback a little bit because you're like, wait, what, like, this is the dude? Like, this is almost kind of a letdown until the twist happens, until
Mhm.
he brings her to Barry Pepper, and then Barry Pepper leaves. And then he has that little Brolin even talked about it when he was going over it on his most memorable roles, and where he just has that look and he looks up at the sun, and all of a sudden you just see like the evil emerge. Because the thing about this character is this is clearly the type of a character where he's obviously mentally ill. And because it's the Wild West in the 1800s, there's obviously no sort of system to basically like coach him in like the right ways to do things. So regardless of whether or not he was like born this way or whether he developed it as like a survival instinct, this is a character that is just one of the most like vicious and despicable characters that Brolin has ever played. And it's really attributed, especially given how like kind of stoic and very straight-laced a lot of the future characters he would play would be, how very kind of like almost animalistic he is in this role. Like he's had better performances, but he's never given a performance quite like this in any of his other parts. So yeah, that's why this goes so high on the list.
Yeah, cool. That's a cool pick. My number 3, No Country for Old Men.
Also my number 3.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, this was the movie that reminded us, oh, Josh Brolin exists? Holy shit. He's fucking great. Llewelyn, just so good. And yeah, just from the very beginning, like he just understands the Coen Brothers like dialogue first and foremost. I love that he had to convince them that he was the guy for this movie, and Quentin Tarantino directed his audition tape.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing too. Like literally, this happened
Yeah,
because of Planet Terror.
yeah. I mean, if there's a silver lining in those pieces of shit movies, it's fine.
Hey. Those movies are fun. Those movies are fun.
I'm just glad that he's not working with Robert Rodriguez anymore. I'll just say
Thank
that.
God.
But yeah, No Country for Old Men, instant classic. I remember my dad was pissed off at the ending because, like, yeah, the ending is kind of
Yeah.
annoying, but
But it's done that way intentionally.
it's done intentionally. But like, I do think it sort of like takes the fire out of the engine. I feel like compared to like movies like Michael Clayton and There'll Be Blood that like do rev up their engines in the last 10 minutes, I would say, and this movie sort of deflates that. It goes against expectations, but and it's still sort of a slight problem for me, but it's still an amazing film for the most part. And Josh Brolin, you really do care when they cut back to that hotel room, and you're like, "Oh my god, what? Why didn't they show us that? What the hell
Yeah.
is going on? He was so good, we cared about him."
Yeah.
But it's an incredible performance.
Oh,
And
only thing
yeah,
I'll add to the No Country of it is the fact that obviously, again, this is a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10 masterpiece. It's really tough. The fact that this came out the same year as There Will Be Blood. In hindsight, I upon revisiting both movies, as much as I love There Will Be Blood, I do think that this one deserved picture over it. I know you've made the argument that Michael Clayton is a better movie than both of them. I do see the argument for it, but what I'll
yeah, but
say
There Will
about
Be Blood was more worthy than this, I would
yes,
say.
and what I'll say what else? Oh wait, you think for picture? You think
Yeah,
it should have been There Will Be Blood?
yeah.
Interesting. See, I don't necessarily know if I agree, only because if we're going with the PTA of it, because for me, it's like PTA, like I think Boogie Nights is the better movie. So for me, it's like Boogie Nights to me was the obvious like snub for that
I
year
agree,
for
but we're still
97.
talking. If we're still talking about those specific movies for those years, what do I prefer? I like There Will Be Blood more than No Country, but I get that No Country probably had more favoritism going into the Oscars that year because they were more overdue than PTA at that point
Yes, they were very, very overdue by that
in
point.
terms
PTA
of
was
like
still
director and picture wins.
yes.
Yeah,
The thing about this movie is specifically Brolin's performance is the fact that Bardem is so good and like
yeah,
such like this haunting presence and this
blows through.
massive
Yeah,
performance that came out of this movie. The first of like a trifecta of like 3 of the all-time back-to-back best supporting actor wins with him this year, then Ledger the following year, then Christoph Waltz like the year after. And like that's insane to me that those 3
don't forget about Alan Arkin and Little Miss Sunshine the year
uh,
before.
we all know he's not the best performance in that movie. And we
I
all know
know,
that should have been Jackie Earle Haley
still
that year.
great in that movie. Though.
But um but
Did you see Little Children?
no, I have not.
Yeah, then what are you saying?
Get over it. Let me finish my tangent. So, oh my god, with the interruptions. Josh Brolin in this movie, Bardem is such this massive presence that you almost forget that how good Brolin is. And like a lot of my favorite scenes in the rewatch of this movie came from not necessarily like the solo individual scenes, but like the back and forth, because Brolin is really fucking good in this movie. Like for the most part, even though he once again falls to temptation and goes for the money, a classic Coen Brothers trope that a random, regular guy just finds a bag of money by the side of the road. And this one is even more egregious than Fargo because he finds it literally in a fucking massive shootout crime scene. And then he wonders, like, oh, what could possibly happen if I take this briefcase full of money? But regardless, he ends up finding himself being chased by both the cartel and this seemingly unstoppable Grim Reaper hitman played by Bardem. But the thing that's awesome is like kind of how smart and how capable he is. And the fact that he is able to fend off both those parties so much to an extent that Bardem literally basically has to threaten his wife in order to get him to come out of hiding and reveal himself. But by then it's too late. But the back and forth, the mano a mano is great. And you almost need him to play like more straight-laced and normal and down to earth because he is like the grounding force compared to Bardem, who is so larger than life and is like so almost like this inhuman figure, who has all these iconic, memorable moments. When he strangles a guy, he has this combination of like he looks like he's both he looks like he's orgasming, and then the iconic coin flip scene in the store with Gene Jones, and obviously, and the scene with Woody is just unbelievable, and all the way down to the final. I'm talking about Bardem more than Brolin, but it's obvious. It's one of the greatest performances I've ever seen on screen. But Brolin is just as good and just as seminal and just as crucial to making this movie work. And yeah, he gets the short end of the stick at the end, but that's the point of this movie and most Coen Brothers story. The regular guy is always the one who gets it in the end. So No Country for Old Men.
All right, number 2, Avengers: Infinity War.
All right.
Thanos. Like you said, you covered it mostly in the beginning of the episode, but yeah, he was terrific. I love this character. It's one of the great villains in Marvel, the best Marvel villain, I would say, in 21st century terms. Yeah, he's incredible in this. I don't care if it's motion capture or not. Yeah, I don't think it's hyperbolic to say to compare it to Andy Serkis and his work and the various films he's done motion capture in. Um, yeah, it's brilliant. It's just one of the great villain performances. So intimidating. I even in Endgame, like he's just almost as effective in that in the beginning. But yeah, I like what else can you say about about Thanos, man? Got the iconic glove. Just I know most of it's the design, but like Josh Brolin still brings out his menace and his vulnerability in that even. Like it's just one of the all-time villain performances the last 15 years easily.
Yeah.
And I don't know how anybody else can deny that. Like he was amazing in these movies.
Yeah, agreed. Get to that more. My number 1, my number 2 is probably going to be your number 1, Inherent Vice.
Mhm.
Really, really good in this movie. It kind of threw me off him being as good as he was in this movie because he comes in like a force of nature, and immediately you're like, oh no, this is going to be like the fucking hard ass like Republican cop who's going to be like combating Joaquin Phoenix's more stoner good guy every turn, and he is. But he also isn't. Like everything else with this whole movie, and really all of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies, man, this dude has fucking layers. This character's name, let me make sure. What is it? Bigfoot?
Yeah,
Christian F.
Bigfoot. Yeah.
Bigfoot Bjornsson. So
Mhm.
he's a fucking Swede of all things too, which is another like just random PTA tidbit that you throw in there. But then like it's another great PTA thing that he does in all of his movies where the look and type of character that he is, and is in such contrast to his actual personality, which is that he just maintains this gruff facade to just fuck with Joaquin Phoenix because he can. Like, he takes the joints from him, he smokes it, like, takes a long drag in front of him. Like, Joaquin Phoenix, like, almost has this nerd well. He's like, yeah, I know you have to maintain this facade, but, like, dude, why'd you kick down my door? It's fucking hysterical. It's great. And the shit where he's like, I mean, you know the line better than me with the pancakes and shit. It's
Molto
great.
bene, Goku.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you cover this for your number 1 because yeah, you like this movie more than me, and
Oh yeah, definitely. I just love the vibe of this movie. Um, Josh Brolin as Bigfoot Borenson is just
Bjornsson.
yeah, Bjornsson. That's what I said. Terrific, just absolutely phenomenal in this. Like, what a memorable comedic performance, to say the least. Like, I forgot to mention before that he also did quite an excellent job on SNL when he would host, and like at least the first time he hosted. And yeah, I would like to see him put his comic ability on display more often, because in this movie he's just a riot in every single scene. This is a movie that has like Martin Short and
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix and Owen Wilson. You know what I mean? Like
That whole Martin Short introduction sequence is
it's,
one of the most wild things I've ever seen in a movie.
yeah, but is it more wild than Josh Brolin eating like a whole brick of weed by the end of the movie? Like
I don't
it's one
know.
of the
There's
craziest.
a lot of fucking crazy shit that
And
happens
him
in this
deep
movie.
throating a fucking frozen banana in the beginning, like it's just like he's hysterical in this, and like the superiority complex that he has is just outstandingly funny in this. Just I love the bluntness of that character. I would have liked a little bit more. Uh, I would have liked a whole spin-off movie of him, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Or series. Like I just love the Bigfoot character, and I just think, to me, it was like one of the egregious snubs from that year for the Oscars for supporting actor. I mean, if it could get it in screenplay, why not supporting actor? You know. But yeah, absolutely, Inherent Vice is my favorite. I love that his haircut in that is crazy.
Yep.
Like he just like insane. Just and just his chemistry or anti-chemistry with Joaquin Phoenix is just brilliant.
Yep.
Brilliant comic performance. Number one, Inherent Vice.
Yeah. Before I get to my number one, the only thing that I'm going to say to that is I just want to talk about Running Man real quick and the reason why the ending feels a little bit so choppy. Are you aware of what the original ending from the novel is of the Running Man?
No.
So famously, Stephen King in his Angst Lord phase, basically, once you have the big final climactic battle on the plane, and once Josh Brolin has revealed that he's killed Ben Richards' family, Glenn Powell's family, he instead decides to go commando and pilot the plane directly into the building and kill himself and everybody in the building, and that's how it ends.
That's how there's no
That's how the book
explanation.
ends.
Yeah, there's no
Nope,
explanation or
nope, none. Just he flies the plane into the. He says "fuck it" and flies the plane into the building.
okay.
Needless to say, Hollywood is not going to make a movie that ends that way in the year 2025, let alone in any movie post 2001. But yeah,
No, it's too vague
yeah, exactly. Well, that and just obvious, it's just beyond
and
cynical. It's like, oh, there's no
negative.
hope. I
Yeah,
literally just have to destroy and kill everyone, including myself.
it's too negative
It's very, very cynical, like
and yeah.
to an absurd degree almost.
He doesn't kill the entire universe, right?
No,
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 yeah, I
not
thought that's how you're making it sound, but
well.
like
I
no.
mean, for the purposes of the novel, that's pretty much what it
No,
comes
but
off.
how are you gonna tie that into the new one?
Well, it's funny because you mentioned destroying the entire unit. Well, because the new one basically it ends up because of that, like it very clearly feels like, oh, they're just adding a little bit more on top of it in order to try and like spruce it up, but it ends up coming off as like really choppy and rushed still.
Yeah, like it didn't really have that ending. I don't feel like that the book had. Like they set off the plane to explode anyway, right? Like
Yeah.
so it's like they weren't gonna die. Like Josh Brolin wasn't gonna die or anything. You know, I thought Josh Brolin, his whole character could have just been the Coleman Domingo character.
Literally. Well, that's the thing too, is I'm pretty sure, and I haven't seen the original 80s Arnold movie,
I
but I
have,
want
yeah.
to. Okay, so I believe that the Josh Brolin and Coleman Domingo characters for the Arnold movie aren't they the same character? Like they're one and
It's
the
just
same?
one guy, and
It's just one guy. Yeah, the Ronnie
it's the
Cox
guy.
character, right?
No, it's the Richard Dawson
The
character.
Richard Dawson character. That's right.
And he's the original Family Feud host from the 60s, 70s. And yeah, that was an interesting performance. But yeah, I would have liked Coleman Domingo to just have been the main villain in
Yeah,
this
especially since
movie.
Coleman Domingo was like just chewing that scenery. It was just killing it every scene he was in.
Yeah, but he wasn't doing it like that, like in a distracting way. Like it was
Right, and
actually
that's what I mean. And it really like and it gave like every time he was on screen, you're like, oh, this makes sense for this character.
yeah,
Like he's
like
doing
he
everything that that is needed for this character without taking away from the central action.
and for the tone of the movie too. Like I felt like he matched what Edgar Wright was really going for, and there was plenty of other scenes and actors where I'm just like, yeah, they're going way too over the top and annoying with it. Like
Yes.
Michael Cera's mom and this, or that's really supposed to be his mom in the
Yeah,
movie. That's
that didn't make
crazy.
sense. That didn't make sense.
Looked like
But
his
anyways, how this
grandmother.
ties in terms of destroying the universe. Yeah, my number one is to absolutely nobody's shock. This like to nobody's shock. Like this is I ranted and raved so hard about this movie when it first came out, and it's been almost 8 years which is wild to me since this movie came out. And still 8 years later, I am still in shock and awe that not only Josh Brolin, but that Marvel pulled off this character. I mean, they were finally starting to get over the hurdles, but like they still had the reputation of like, oh man, Loki's their only good comic book villain. And then he had Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger a few months before this, and Michael B. Jordan was great in that first Black Panther for a lot of different reasons. But I mean, this is the dude that we've been waiting literally 10 years to see. Since that first Avengers movie, when you first got the hint back when he was like, back before Josh Brolin even played this part, we've been waiting. Oh my God, the Mad Titan Thanos, the dude who is like going to rock all of the Avengers. And up until this point, we'd had like little to no indication. The only hints that we had was the one like 2 minutes of screen time in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and then the post-credits cameo at the end of Age of Ultron where he goes and gets the gauntlet. And then you see the Thor ship getting attacked in the post-credit scene of Ragnarok, and you're like, oh boy, we got to wait like 4 or 5 months until we see the payoff of this. And man, this movie starts, and man, they waste no time showing you just what an absolute devious menace this fucking guy is. Like, you said easily like one of the greatest Marvel villain performances ever. I would argue that he is, with this role, like he cemented himself at Thanos as one of the great villain performances of all time. Like, this is up there with Shigur, with Palpatine, with Voldemort, with the Joker, with the shark from Jaws. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. Like, this is like one of the iconic villain performances. This performance is so good that I literally used monologues from this character multiple times that ended up getting me to where I am now, into acting school. Like, that's how fucking good he is. Like, that opening Thanos monologue literally just sends shivers down your spine, and he is so calculating. Granted, I will say that in hindsight, it's not necessarily that Thanos is as smart as he seems. It's that he's got a lot of plot armor surrounding him for sure at points. But like, he opens the movie and beats the ever-living crap out of the Hulk, who up until this point has not lost a fight in the MCU. And then for him to just mentally mind fuck every character that he interacts with, Gamora, Tony, he spends a lot of time mind fucking with Gamora, Doctor Strange, literally just calling Spider-Man insect, while at the same time never like once making you forget that he is a villain. Like, the thing is that like, it really is kind of a genius move that he pulls, where he consistently makes you like so empathetic with his cause, and then we'll just turn right around and remind you, oh no, he's a piece of shit, with just how he relentlessly tortures Nebula, with how he just so callously just wiped out all the Asgardians that fast, without easily, and then he comes in and after almost getting his ass handed to him on Titan, just decimates his way through the rest of the Avengers like they're nothing. Fucking kills Vision. Well, okay, Vision dies not once but twice in one scene. First when Wanda kills him, and then when he reverses time, brings him back and rips the stone out of his head, and literally is like so devious that he's comforting Wanda right before he's about to turn back time and destroy the love of her life again in front of her eyes. It's wild. Like, it's almost a disservice to talk about his performance in Endgame, because by virtue of the fact that he is so good in this movie, they almost kind of have to dumb him down and make him like more of a slightly generic villain. Not that takes away from the performance, but like, it's very obvious, and very rightfully so, it's literally written into the plot of the movie that the Thanos in Endgame is not the same as the Thanos in Infinity War. So that's why I have to specify, unlike a couple of the other MCU performances we talked about up until this point, that when I talk about Josh Brolin in the MCU, I am talking about him specifically in Infinity War, a one-off villain role for the ages. Also, the only MCU movie up until this point where the villain has been the main character, at least until we get to Doomsday. But yeah, it's my number one. It's the greatest motion capture performance since Andy Serkis as Gollum, and yeah, Infinity War easily.
I don't know who you are.
Literally, that's a great line. That is a fucking awesome line right there. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna fight for Infinity War for this.
I'm fine with that.
All right, cool. So we have, the good thing is that we have relatively easy 5 in common, and for the most part, they're all so Infinity War, Inherent Vice, No Country for Old Men, True Grit, and Milk are the only 5 that we have in common. So you know how this goes. We're gonna go back and forth. You pick one, I pick one, and then vice versa, and then we will figure out what we want for the final pick. So I'll go first, and my first pick that I'm going to do is I'm gonna go with Sicario.
I'm going to go weapons.
All right. So we got those locked in. And what do you want? Those at like 5 and 6? 5
yeah,
and 6?
Yeah. We'll just do that a straight line.
Perfect. So there's weapons, and there is Sicario. Okay. So now my next choice. I'm going the Goonies.
I'm going Only the Brave.
All right. So Only the Brave at 7 and Goonies at 8?
You can do Goonies at 7.
Okay. So Goonies at 7. And then Only the Brave is at 8. And then we both have Milk in our 9 spot, which is easy. And then, so in terms of what we have left on the board.
Isn't there just one pick left?
Yeah, so there's one pick left, but I just want to run through the remaining choices that we have that haven't already been taken. So I still have Hail Caesar, Dune, and American Gangster on my board. You have Deadpool 2, Legacy of a White-Tailed Deer Hunter, and W.
I want to argue for Deadpool.
You want to argue for Deadpool?
Yeah.
Okay. I can see it. I mean, there's a couple easy ones that I can knock out. I can easily knock out American Gangster. I'm assuming you have no problem with knocking out W. I'm just trying to see if I want to argue for either. Because my 2 choices that I would argue in place, I would argue either Hail Caesar or Dune.
Cable.
I see the case for Cable. I do. And he is really, really good in it. But I don't know. I feel like Hail Caesar is a better performance.
Disagree.
Man, this is tough. This is tough. Deadpool 2 or Hail Caesar? Deadpool. This is the first time that we've ever run across this, because most of the time I'm fine with your choice, but yeah, I'm fine with knocking out
Dune.
Dune.
Like Hail Caesar either.
Yeah, I know, but the fact that he is as good as he is in that movie, that I would even talk about him in it.
I get it.
Oh man. Yeah, and only because I feel like every other time. Ah, man, it's really tricky. I guess just because, I don't know. I feel like I've seen him. Deadpool 2, the thing about it is he just has to play straight man to, I mean, both these movies he's playing straight man to a bunch of wackos around him.
It's like a Midnight Run sort of dynamic with him and Reynolds.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck it. Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right, because I don't like Hail Caesar that much. If I liked Hail Caesar more, I would make more of an argument, but
we already got a Coen's in this.
Yeah, we do. All right, so our Josh Brolin Hall of Fame definitely did not go the way that I was expecting, but number 10, Deadpool 2, directed by
David
Leitch. Number 9, Milk, Gus Van Sant. Number 8, Only the Brave, directed by Joseph Kosinski. Number 7, The Goonies, Richard Donner.
Yeg.
Number 6, Sicario, Denis Villeneuve. Number 5, Weapons, Zach Krieger. Number 4, True Grit, the Coens. Number 3, No Country for Old Men, the Coens. We have 2 Coens in there for the price of 1. Number 2, Inherent Vice, Paul Thomas Anderson. And number 1, Thanos, Avengers Infinity War, the Russos, and the MCU. That was it, guys. Our 11th Hall of Fame for the year of 2025. We have one more, and then we will have officially done 12 for 12 for the year.
Someone needs to do some Adam Sandler watching.
Yeah, right? Almost like Adam Sandler's got a movie that could potentially win him an Oscar. It won't, but it could potentially win him an Oscar coming out in the month of December. So, yeah. All that being said, Dustin, where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
Mr. G Movie Reviews and Letterboxd, Dustin Mason.
Of course, you guys can follow me with everything going on at Movie Nerd Reviews across all platforms, at Official Talkin' TV Podcast across all platforms. Be sure to check out the Talkin' TV merch store. Check out our Talkin' Lost episode, which we uploaded this morning. And as always, people, 12 seasons in a short film, and watch more fucking movies. We will see you guys next time.